Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hope. My name is Tammy Lynn Connors. Thank you so much for joining us today. I have my new friend, Vania, here. How are you today, Vania?
I'm good. And you, Tammy?
Great, great. So I like to give plugs to Glenn Murray. I know you guys hear his name on here all the time, but Glenn is a publisher and has some other things. Actually, I interviewed him a few weeks ago, and he keeps giving me these stories of hope. And Vania is in a book, Faith, Failure, Success, Weathering the Storm. Is that
Yes.
Surviving the Storm?
Surviving the Storm.
Surviving the
Yes.
Storm. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So she has a chapter in this book, and Glenn, of course, introduced us, and we are finally doing this podcast. It's taken us a little while, but we were just talking about, God always has his timing for when we're supposed to do things. So, Vania, I'm so excited to have you on here with me today. And I'm just going to say real quick what Hope is. So my mission and vision with Hope when I started this was just to help other people who are struggling through life. Unfortunately, people went through all kinds of struggles, but fortunately, they've gotten through the struggles and gotten to a strength. So the people that I talk to and I interview are people that have unfortunately been through some struggles, but have gotten to a strength with tools that they've used and different things like that. And my only hope every day is if somebody hears this, they will get up out of bed that day, or they will walk out the front door and say, I can do this. And we're hoping that we can give you some tools and some strength to do that. So I do not know your story, Vania, at all. I just apologize because I haven't read the whole book. I've read a few stories in there, but I haven't read the whole book yet. But so that makes it even more exciting for me, because I'm pretty sure that your struggles were something else, and the strength that you've gotten to, because you're an amazing woman. I follow you on all social media platforms and just watching you. And so I guess wherever you want to start with it, and we will go.
Okay, great. Well, thank you again for inviting me. I've been a little bit doing everything the last few months and everything based with school and work and all that good stuff. But for those of you, again, my name is Vania Hudson. I am the last author in Faith, Failure, Success, Surviving the Storm. And the title of my chapter is called I Am a Product. And based on I Am a Product, it goes through the struggles that I've had over the years from my early 20s up until really recently. I'm 55 on Saturday. April 30th is my 55th birthday. And I am so glad and thankful that I am here to share the story. My story starts off with a story of traumatic brain injury. I am a 31-year survivor of traumatic brain injury. Okay. I was in a near fatal car accident when my son was he was just one at the time. He had just turned one. So that was 91 when that happened. And there was major reconstructive surgery done to my face, to my mouth, the inside of my mouth, my feet, my legs, my eye. I lost part of my vision, my peripheral in my right eye. But for whatever reason, God saw fit that I should still continue to be here. They told my parents, because I was going through a divorce at the time, they told my parents that I would not be at full functional capacity, and that I would need assistance for the rest of my life. I don't know what it was. That before they told them that, actually, because they thought I was going to die actually in the hospital. So this is what gets everybody. They gave me the last rites, and my ex actually brought my son, my toddler, into my dad was not happy, but he knew that I did not want to be resuscitated. And because we were still married legally, even though we were separated, he had the final say in everything. So he kept me alive. And that's probably the only thing I could thank him for
right.
this day. But,
and your son.
and my son is just amazing.
Right.
But when they thought I still wasn't going to make it, they gave me the last rites, and he brought my son in. And they said, because it was almost flatlining, they said, when my son cried out, "Mommy," and my dad said, "He is a witness," that's when the waves started coming back up on the scanner. And my dad said he had never, ever witnessed anything like that, and would put chills up his spine when it happened. And so that's when my journey began. And through all of that, I mean, I actually went back to the ex. You can see I can still call him ex, because he did save my life, because he knew I wanted to just die. And I had expressed that all the time. I did never want to be put on life support. But he did save my life. I tried to give him another chance, but he was still a knucklehead, blah, blah, blah. But I was able to move forward and still graduate undergrad from St. Xavier and then go through corporate marketing, and 25-year career with that. Went through another bad accident, if you can believe that, with a semi that flipped me over here in Chicago off the interstate. And they told me then, because it was the same foot that got injured, that they didn't think I was going to be able to walk or run again. So that's when I decided to get involved. And I went through physical therapy and everything, but that's when I decided to do Hustle Up to Hancock, which if you live in Chicago, you know that's when all of us crazy folks are climbing up the Hancock for money and donations to for respiratory health here in the city and in the state. So I did it that first year, almost a year over after I had that accident. I did it in probably about 45 minutes. Nobody could believe I did it then. And then I did the full climb every year after that. So I'm a lung health champion with the Respiratory Health Association. Because of that, and then the continuing struggles that I've had cancer diagnoses 3 times, with the last one being last spring. And my oncologist told me when she gave me the news, she said, "You're awfully calm." She said, "I've never seen anybody so calm." I said, "I'm not worried about this. God has got me." I said, "You need to just tell me what we need to do so we can get through this process." So I had that procedure done in August. February, I was declared cancer-free of this year. And they will continue to monitor me. So every pitfall, if you want to call, challenge that I have faced, I've met it with faith. And I wasn't always like that. I was a hot-headed 22-year-old who knew everything and couldn't listen to parents. That's why I married the first knucklehead at a young age. And my dad will tell you that walking down the aisle, he told me, "You don't have to do this. I'll help you raise the baby if I have to." That's where my dad was with that. But what I want to share with people, aside being serious, I want to share with people, it is not the end of the world if you don't make it the end of the world. We get some tough diagnoses every day. We get some hard-hitting stuff every single freaking day. But it is your attitude and your faith and strength that will sustain you. That has been my testimony. That's what I continue to testify to other people. We served the homeless, and I do this probably every other month over here in the soup kitchen, not far from me. I am an Eastern Star. Our chapter goes over there and we serve the homeless, and they are so happy that we can come in and just make a hot breakfast for them. And it's just the little things that we all take for granted. And don't realize how good we have it until you go into a situation like that and you hear them say, "Oh, it's so nice to have somebody smile at you first thing in the morning." And we're getting, hot, cereal and hot sausages and ham and everything. And it's just stuff we're just oblivious to. So it humbles you. It brings you back down to earth. And whenever you think something is going badly with you, somebody else is going through something worse.
That what you just said right there is so powerful. I want to back up a little bit to after your first accident. So of course, when you said your dad got chills, I had chills going up my entire body and tears coming, because I can just imagine the feeling when your son yelled that, and then God was like, "You're not leaving him yet.
It's not time." Yeah, exactly.
It's not time. It's not your time. So after that, so of course, like you said, it was horrific. How much physical therapy did you have to go through after that? And what kept you going every day? Was it your son? Was it just you? Was it your faith?
A combination of everything. I was off work a little over a year. My mouth was wired shut. My eyesight, this was covered actually, because I didn't realize that I couldn't see over there. And then I have hardware in my chin, my feet, everything. They call me a bionic woman. But my dad worked nights at Ford Motor Company. If you know Ford Motor Company, he worked nights at Ford. He would come home. I was staying at his house. And my stepmother worked during the day too, but she left. But my dad would come home because she was home in the evening, but he would come home and take care of me daily after working all night on the shift and change my dressing, get me fed. He had to do these special shakes and everything, get me to physical therapy, and somehow turn around, come home, and get a couple hours sleep before he went to bed himself to start all over again.
Yeah.
My mom was helping with my son. So my son was in and out between my mom and his great grandmother. She was still alive at the time. They were helping with him. So that helped tremendously because his dad, again, I'm not trying to down the man, but he was not doing what he was supposed to do. So they were taking care of him. I was lucky to be working at a great job where I had great health insurance and everything. So I was taking care of just great, you know. My mom made the joke that I got the day shift in the ER because there was no way I was supposed to look anything like myself after coming through this. There is a scar, and you really can't see it unless you're truly in my face now, but there's a scar that goes down straight down my face. It used to sit on the outside of my face, and my plastic surgeon told me, he said, well, once you recover a little bit, we can think about, you know, doing some more surgery to take it down. I said, you know what? And at first I was going to do, I said, you know what? I said, no, this is a sign, a symbol that, you know, I am a survivor and I can make it. And this is just aesthetics. This does not define who I am. And over the years, it's just gone into my face. The same thing with the scars on my knees and feet and everything. You barely, it just looks like I had some kind of whatever as a kid, you know, when you bump, you fall and everything. But God truly just made a vessel out of me. And that's why when I work with people now, because I switched, fast forward a little bit, I switched my first master's to applied exercise science, so from marketing communications, so that I can work with people with chronic conditions who have gone through stuff like I've done, who multiple sclerosis, diabetes, whatever, because they think it's the end of the world, that they cannot be functional in their everyday lives. And that is so far from the truth. They just don't have the right people supporting them. And what we call inclusive fitness training is that type of fitness training that is for people like me and those who have other conditions. So that's what my passion is right now. I don't have the stress like I did in corporate America. I've got a different kind of stress because I am, you know, self-employed and everything. So it has its ebbs and flows, but I'm where I'm supposed to be right now.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So I'm going to ask you something else about all that, because like you said, now your mouth is wired shut, your face is distorted until you have your surgery and stuff. How did you, because it had to be hard looking in the mirror and, you know, looking and being like, I don't know, you know, people have a hard time looking in the mirror just now, even when you're like normal, telling themselves how beautiful they are and how much you love them and all of that. And that self-esteem goes like this. And at, you know, 31 years old, you got a child and not a great, you know, husband. And did that play on your self-esteem at all through that time?
It really did. And you said 31. I was actually 24 years old. So I was truly in the prime of my life.
Oh, you were 31 24.
Yeah, I got my first cancer diagnosis at 30.
Oh, I'm sorry. 31. So you were 24 when this
I was 24. I was a young one.
Yeah, that's way.
I was a very young. So, and my doctors told me youth was on my side for me recovering the way that I did too. And I was halfway in decent shape, but I still should have died. But because again, I had my faith, it helped me, but that did not disregard me looking in the mirror and like, oh my God, this is not me. My son, believe it or not, just saw mommy. He truly saw mommy. He didn't understand why I couldn't talk very well because my mouth was wired shut. But he just saw mommy because my hair at the time, my hair was well past my shoulders, but it was patches and everything where they had to shave and do stuff and put monitors and stuff on me. So I truly didn't look like myself. And my dad did something where he had, because I love baseball caps, and he would make different kind of hats and stuff for me to put on and all this stuff. But I had to keep looking at myself. And that's when I made that decision when my doctor said, you know, let's get a little bit more into recovery and then I will consider doing it to take down this scar. But then it was just something in me that said, you know, this is not what, it doesn't matter. You're alive. God spared you. And it could be worse. You could be completely disfigured. You could have completely lost all of your vision in that I am not able to drive at all. You might have completely lost your tongue, because my tongue was severed, but they were able to save my tongue. So it could have completely gone. I lost all my teeth. It could have been where they couldn't replace the bottom on here, and they were able to save the top and everything, but the bottom I lost, and they had to replace it. I mean, it could have been a whole different type of scenario.
Right.
So I said, why am I stressing over the way that I look at this point in my life? And you're 20 something in your vein like that, but
Sure.
it put a different type of maturity on me when I really had that time sitting in my house, in my dad's house. He's resting, and basically all I could do was kind of read, because I only had the one eye, but or watch something on TV. But I had a lot of time to think and meditate, and it puts something on your mind. It puts stuff in perspective for you.
Yes, for sure. Thank you for sharing that, because I was really wondering about that, and I guess especially at 24, even like I said, people that are out here in this world that we look at, and we look at them and they're like, oh my gosh, they're absolutely beautiful, and you say something to them and they look at you like, me? You know what I mean? Because it's all about our reflection that we see in the mirror of ourselves. I used to have a really low self-esteem because of my freckles and my teeth, and I just had a low self-esteem until I started realizing who I was, and God made me perfectly imperfect. He made me the way that he made me perfectly in his eyes. I find the imperfect part myself, but it's like we need to embrace that and know that we are made to be who we are, and to not let the world take that away from us. And I think that's what happens a lot in our world, and
it continues to happen.
Yes. And I love what you said about, let me think. Oh, because you could have died, right?
Yes.
And with my alcoholism and addiction, I mean, there was many times that I thank God now, I'm like, okay, I should have died at that point, but you knew I had a purpose, and we're living out our purpose. And I think that when you talk about you guys going and feeding the homeless and doing that and humbling yourself, more people need to realize that doing those little things helps you so much, and that's huge, because I was talking to a friend yesterday, and I was in a little bit of a slump, I'm not going to lie. And he was talking about his slump, right? And then I was like, what am I talking about? I am so blessed. I mean, 100%. I might not have like a place that I'm living right now, but I have friends that I can stay with, and so I have to look at instead of, because so quick you can go down that rabbit hole of, it's actually poor me victim thing, right?
It really is the why me thing. It is.
And I don't go there. And when I start going there, I'm like, wait, hold up. You just said gratitude this morning. Think of all the things that you have. You have nothing to be, ungrateful for. So, so I like that you guys go do that. I really, I'm going to be looking to do that myself with, feeding the homeless and things like that. So
it's an unbelievable experience. It really is. You just don't realize how ungrateful we all are when you do something like that.
Yes,
it's unbelievable.
For sure. Yeah. So now, is your chapter in this book, is this your first book?
It is my first book. The title of the chapter, I Am a Product, the poem that I wrote that back in undergrad, and it was published in the school literary magazine. My English teacher told me then, she said, you need to be teaching English and lit and everything, but I wanted to make money, and so that's when I went into marketing, and I made good money. I did, but it wasn't what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And the chapter discusses, not just the physical trauma that I've had, the mental trauma from my ex. I've been married 3 times from each husband, and there was mental and physical abuse. And I've always chosen the wrong person, because I thought, and I think women do this a lot, we're trying to fix something and make it fit in our mold and what it's supposed to be. But what I've learned, and that's probably why the last 2.5, 3 years now have almost been the longest I've been single in a long time, because whomever comes to the table with you, you're bringing whatever to the table together, and then you're learning how to put that together. There's not going to always be, everybody gets their way. There's a lot of compromise and everything, but I think it took a lot of me trying to live the Cinderella complex and make it, all about me when it's about the union. And it took a lot, but I do discuss that what happened in those relationships, and infidelity and the lies, and what it's made me a stronger woman, and all three of them, they look at me today and they would like to be back with me, but no, when I'm done, I'm done. Stay away.
Yeah.
God bless you. Do your thing.
Right. And that's, so I want to touch on that a little bit too, because we have so much that are relatable here too with things. But so when you said about women wanting to and it's more women than men for sure in this aspect. And I know there's men out there that go through the domestic violence and all that too, and the mental abuse. I totally get that. But when you said that we want to fix it and fix things, and maybe we can change them because we see that little bit of hope in them. And I feel like that's a big thing. I was just talking to somebody about that today. Like, we see that because everybody has good in them. You see a lot of ugly, but there is good in everybody.
That's
and
right.
some people only show that good when they know they have to. Like, it's almost like they know, like, you're at that verge of, I'm out. And they're like, oh,
and they know how to turn the switch. So
they know how to turn the switch.
Yes.
And they're like great for however long they feel like they can be great. And
That's
then
right.
they go right back to that pattern. So do you feel that way too? Like, it's that glimmer of hope that we see, and we just know that it's there. And we know as women, because a lot of women are very empathetic,
right?
That we feel like, oh, that glimmer of hope, we can help them. We can change them. We can get them to love us the way that we want to be loved, or the Cinderella story, like you said.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we always go through that, unless, and I know there's some women in my circle that are top judges here in Chicago. They're major players in big corporations here. And all of us at some point have decided that, we were going to either get married or be in a serious relationship or something. But we knew that little person on the shoulder was telling us, no, not this one. But you try to fix something so it can be in your mold, and you just can't. And my dad, God bless him, I'm so fortunate to still have my dad, and he has taught me he thought he was teaching me and my sister, how guys and men think and everything. And if we had listened, we wouldn't have made some of the decisions that we made on the man side. Well, business, we totally nailed it. But on the relationship side, for whatever reason, we couldn't listen to the man who knew, what these guys are doing out there, and admittedly has done some of the stuff that these clowns have done and continue to do to women. And it's my thing that a lot of women can't get past to the next stage of healing and moving forward until they truly know how to let the stuff go. You got to forgive. Yeah, it's hard to forgive, but you will not, and you don't have to forget. God does not ask us to forget. He's asked us to let it go so you can move forward with it. Now, what that person deals with at Judgment Day has nothing to do with you. They didn't, confess their sins. That's not your problem. But if you don't let it go, you're going to fester and boil up with all of that stuff. And we just think that we can just make this man, okay, he's gorgeous here, but he's a slug. He won't work. Well, I can support him a little bit until he gets it together, and he can move on in here and not pay me, for any utilities or anything. And women have done that or whatever, I've been mentally and physically abused. And luckily I'm strong enough. My dad is advised I don't ever try to, tackle a man again, but I'm crazy like
right.
that. And I just is reaction, because I grew up in the hood, it's just reaction to defend myself. But it's when they find some men, and this is not all men,
right.
I love men. It's not all men, but when you get those that think they can get next to you and take advantage, they will do it if you allow it. Yes. And there's so many women I hate that go through that. And it was, as I tie it back to my recovery, my son's dad was trying to take advantage of me as well, even through my recovery and my decision to come back to him, even though he said he was changed, because he knew that's what he needed to say and get back into the church and worship with me and everything. But he did it for 2 or 3 months, and then he reverted right back. And then I'm like, oh my God, I'm back in this cyclical cycle again, and it was bad, and for my son now, who's 31, to be the type of man that he is, I just thank God, because he could be a statistic right now, and he's not. So
Yes.
I my dad and my brothers have been instrumental in helping me raise that boy.
Yes.
And but some women just don't have those resources. And that's why I always, whatever I'm doing, I want to be able to help somebody or be able to give them a resource where they can find that help.
Yes. Yes. And that's huge. My son's, well, he's 32. I'm like, he's gonna be 32. No, he is 32. We're the same age.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. So, but it was the same thing with me. You know, I was a single mom with him. His dad was incarcerated and things. And I remember thinking what you just said, like he could be a statistic, right? I mean, easily he could have been. And I'm so blessed and thankful to God too, because, you know, he's had his job for 9 years. He's a good guy, you know, so I'm just blessed for that too. And one thing I want to talk about too, and I know you have a poem you're going to read all of us, and I can't wait to hear it. But do you think a lot of times with women and men too, probably, like when you are, so you see, okay, we're going to go with social media right now, because social media is driving me crazy. And I'm a big social media person. I promote my business on there, but at the same time, I hate it. I really do. Because
I'm there,
see so many people.
Yeah.
It is like the highlight reels of life. Everybody, if you see a couple, they look like the happiest couple in the world. And then you sit back and you're like, because I've been single for a really long time, like 18 years single.
Oh, okay.
So sometimes I can sit back and be like, man, but what's wrong with me? Why am I still single? And I think a lot of times that's when women or men even settle, because they're like, well, I want that, you know, at the beach and this and that. And they're looking at all the highlights and all of the social media, and it's not real life, because you don't know it. And then the next thing you know, here those people are getting divorced because they're cheating or whatever. And it's like, you know, and I think that, do you think that a lot of it is that, like, you see everybody looks so happy in the world and there you are by yourself, and then you start questioning, like, well, what's wrong with me? Why am I still single?
I've personally gone through that with my last husband. Everybody thought we were the perfect couple, and unless we're posting all this stuff on social media and blah blah blah, and then behind the scenes, and I was able to put up a good acting show. He was too, for that matter. But behind the scenes, it was a complete nightmare. You know, between his baby mama, because I took on his 3 kids with or 4 with because he's got 2 baby mamas, and then my 2 sons. So we thought we had the Brady Bunch going and everything, and you know, the kid, one of the sons is, you know, physically jumping on me, and the ex-girlfriend, she's mad because he never married her. It was just a big mess. And I, when my gut told me, when the son jumped on me, and they tried to get me locked up because I reacted. I'm like, you don't, you know, and I'm like, you don't do anything to this. My dad had to step in. I'm like, dude, nobody touches your wife. Nobody ever.
Right.
And I should have walked away then, but I was trying to give them the benefit of the doubt because of the type of childhood they had. But I was again trying to make this word blah 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 into this, and nobody on social media knew what the hell I was going through. You know, they looked at all of the pictures we had up there or whatever, and they thought, oh, this is really cool, the Black Brady Bunch and blah blah blah, and they looked so better, but it was nothing like that. And so when 3 years ago, when I decided and I had nothing, you know, I decided to walk away, and I've lost so much money with that and still fighting a few things or whatever. I said, God will make a way for me, and it will be okay. And I have my piece. My hair is white. Your hair is beautiful white. I wish my hair looked like that, you know, without dyeing it, but I have to dye my hair. My mother was like that. My mother had beautiful white hair. And you have to make some choices for yourself. So now when people go on my social media, they'll see stuff about me, but they'll see me talking about my traumatic brain injury, or what I'm doing for, you know, the homeless, or for Respiratory Health Association. I might talk about a couple things that are going on with me, but I am not like I was before, putting all my business out there. Not a good thing ever to do that. So they see a few things, and it ties, my strategy is, just like you, business owner, it ties back into what I'm offering as a business person, you know. So you will see that the stuff that I tie in will be physically about my ailments or whatever, but it's helping me to reach out to those people who are in similar conditions than me. Now you'll see some other stuff, me and my friends from way back talking about crap or whatever, just whatever, because that's what it's been. That's been huge and even for our families, for our families to be able to connect regularly.
Yeah.
Nowadays, but yeah, so much. Social media is such a trap, I think. And for my youngest son, he's going to be, he's a junior right now in college. And he's during the pandemic is when he was going down his rabbit hole. And I thank God for Lake Forest, they put out counselors for the kids because they were going through it. And he stepped back. He has no social media whatsoever. He said, because he was looking at that. Why am I not this? Why can't I do that? Yes. Me and mom are together here and she's struggling and I'm trying to do this. And he was breaking down before my eyes, but until his counselor was like, let it go. And she helped him and everything. And he's like, I'm not messing up. Yeah. And it's so much. I just heard something on the news today about a kid. There's Snapchat. The kid, the administration in the school was teasing this kid. He committed suicide back in January. Yeah. And it's just, why is this such? It really tells you how people are complete cowards that can hide behind, the wires and talk about people the way they do. It's bad.
It is really bad. I agree 100%. I have a friend of mine, the one actually I was talking to yesterday, and he has no social media at all. I actually told him a few weeks ago, I said, I had a dream that you got a TikTok. He's like, that was a dream. But yeah, so, and one other thing I want to talk about before you read your poem, if you don't mind, is when you talk about, so 3 years now you've been single, you said, right?
Yep.
And through that time, don't you think that a lot of times, like when we go from like a relationship to a relationship to a relationship, it's because we never, and usually they're about the same relationships. Like you said, you attracted those men. And I know that's the way that I was too. Like, and then I was like, forget it. I can't even look at a man because I don't know what's going to happen. And I mean, I'm not like that now, but I was. But don't you think that, I think that it's powerful that you need to learn to heal from your hurt first. Because if you don't, then, that saying, hurt people, it's the truth. That's and if we're not healing our hurt and our pain and our forgiveness, that's huge. Too. Like, I didn't have to go up to my ex and say, I forgive you. For being beating
you had that private moment with yourself.
That's
and
right.
whatever that process was, that's what happened. Exactly.
That's right. And that's what I said too. Like when you said about, I mean, one day everybody's going to meet their maker. So that day is not my problem, but I can forgive and not forget, but forgive and not forget for myself. So I don't do that again. Like take that as a learning experience, take that as a learning experience. But I think a lot of times people don't try to heal. And I think that's what the book, Faith, Failure, Success, this one, the first one, this one that you're in, and Surviving the Storm. And then I'm actually in the Turning Point.
The third one.
And all of those are just to offer people some tools to help them to get to a healing process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. The what's been almost scary and impactful this last go around was that because, I brag on myself. Yeah, it has never been difficult for me to get a man ever. Right. And good looking man, weird looking man, whatever. it's never been a problem. And I found it ironic that this go around, and I knew I had been having cancer issues, right? Since I had my hysterectomy back in 2007. And that's when they first found it and caught it, the precancer or whatever. But this go around was straight vaginal cancer. And like I said, when I got the diagnosis, she's looking at me like, you're not crying, you're not reacting, blah, blah, blah. But I think God actually was positioning me then because, I was separated. And he's still fighting my divorce because he knows he's going to have to owe me. But I was separated, and I hadn't started dating because I was just, like I said, I moved. My goal was to, because me and my son were in an apartment. I'm back at my house now because we were renting. Me and my other ex, we were renting this house to squatters because they took advantage of the pandemic. That's another story altogether. But I was just taking it, easy, just going to work, doing my thing, helping my son with school and everything. And I had that feeling that I wanted to start dating again, so I'm, flirting and whatever. But I think because, and I'm one of those women, and you said, this is unfiltered. I love sex. I love making love. I love men, blah, blah, blah. But, and God knew that if I got with somebody and put it on them, so to speak, here I would be going into this physical thing again and getting caught up when I didn't really need to get up and get caught up. And I think him putting vaginal cancer on me, stopped me dead in my tracks because, I there's no way I could do anything, blah, blah. And I'm still in the healing process now. I'm cancer free, but things just aren't the way they used to be. And I have learned through this process over the last year after, going through surgery and then recovery and everything. And the guys that have approached me, that's all they've wanted from me is sex. And I get it. Men and women are the same way, but I'm in a stage in my life now where it's not just about the sex. I truly do want some companionship. And, if there's great love making involved with it, that'll be a plus for him. But I've learned that if I hadn't had this cancer diagnosis, that I would have just been going through the thing with these guys again, which God did not have, and I did not need again in my life. So it has truly pulled me back to watch and see who is seriously wanting to get to know me. And of the men that have, approached me, there's only been one man, truly one man that has been seriously trying to get to know me. And he was like, I didn't try to get with you because of sex. He said, I really want to get to know you. He said, there's something, and we've known each other for years, actually. We grew up together, but you find out God put stuff in your path for a reason. And I truly believe that's why he put this third diagnosis on me and cured me, just to put me in a sitting position.
Right. And that perspective, right. And for you to see it too. That's what's huge. Like God does all kinds of things that we're like mad about. And I can't believe that you did this to me. And why God and all that. And then a month down the road, 3 months down the road, 6 months down the road, a year down the road, you're like, oh, now I get it. Right.
Now I get it. Yeah.
Before, you're in another mess, but I just feel like it's just being alert and learning those things.
And that's and I was just like, oh my God, the aha moment. I was like, oh my gosh, this is what needed to happen.
Yes. So, are you ready to share your poem with us?
Sure. So again, like I was telling you, our book here, it's probably backwards. Faith, Failure, Success, Surviving the Storm. This is the stories in this from these 6 women is unbelievable. And we've all gone through so much stuff. And a lot of people don't realize the pain, the strife that any of us go through, especially if you are a strong woman. I knew a part of your story, but when I see your presence, when I see you on social media, you wouldn't know because you are such a bubbly personality. And I'm like, I need to have what she has in the morning so I can stop drinking this coffee the way that I do.
And, we can talk about that.
Oh my God. And it's just infectious. And I attribute a lot of my sustenance and my faith to the men in my life, which happened to be my great-grandfather, my grandfather, and my dad. And my dad is the only one that's currently living right now. But I am a product of them and what they were and what I continue to strive to be. I'm only 55. I'm hoping to be here another 55. We'll see how that works.
Right.
But a lot of people don't realize what we go through to get to the next step in life. Yes. So that's why I wrote this poem in undergrad, and I forgot what was happening in 95, 96 or whatever that made me, something was going on in the country that made me just start scribbling this down. And then I just started writing a series of poems. And when you go through and read my story, you'll see different poems that I have written throughout the years that brought me to the point of I am a product. So I will share that with you right now.
Good.
Okay, it is I am a product. You think I would know it by heart by now because I wrote it so long ago. But I am great granddaddy, a strong Black man from the South. I grew up during Reconstruction. My parents were slaves, taught that niggers were seen but not heard. But I spoke. I learned to read better than some of them. They thought I'd never survive. I am loved. I have my family. I own property. I have pride. I have dignity. I have God. I am a product of my daddy. I am great. I am granddaddy. I'm sorry. A strong Black man from the South. I grew up with the Klan and the lynchings. I was told I was nothing but a pretty nigger, that I couldn't do nothing but tend the fields. I do tend fields because I own. My house sits in the center of my corn, my beans, my cotton, my horses, my pigs, my dogs, and my cows. I am a product of my daddy. I am daddy, a strong Black man from the South. I grew up poor, but had a wealth of love. I was a victim of segregation and a trooper in the fight for desegregation. I became educated and now I live comfortably. I am a product of my daddy. I am myself, a strong Black woman from the South side of town, labeled as a wannabe because my skin is so light, on Jemima because my lips are so full. But I gained wisdom, cast down from those who struggled, those who experienced racism, and those who worked for bigots. I am proud of who and what they have become. I use their strengths and their weaknesses to assist in my quest for success. I am a product of 3 strong Black men.
Wow. Okay. I need to bring tissues with me when I do these. Like that seriously, just like really, that's amazing and beautiful. Like
Thank you.
so beautiful. That should be like, I don't know if they have a Poetry Hall of Fame, it should be there. That is absolutely beautiful.
Thank you so very
Yes.
much.
Yes.
Yeah, I used to write a lot. After I got into corporate real, I stopped because I was writing so much business stuff. I got away from my creative writing, but that one always hits home for me because of the examples that my dad and my grand and granddaddy were to us. And and I use the N-word, audience. If you were offended, I am sorry, but it does play a part in what has helped us grow over the years.
Yes. Wow. That was powerful. Powerful. Yeah. So I have interviewed Martha, and I've also interviewed Cinda, and I've also Latrice, I've interviewed twice. So,
wow.
Yeah. So
all of them are fantastic.
Yes. All amazing. You're all amazing women. Glenn definitely picked the right people for his books. I mean,
oh
it's
my God, yes.
incredible.
And he told me, because I'm like, dude, I am not about to write. He said, yes, you are. It's time.
Yeah.
If somebody needs to hear your story, you need to share it now.
Yes. Yes. And I agree. And that's why I was so blessed to have you on here today. And like I said, I didn't know your story, but I knew it had to be powerful. And I feel like, with this platform, that's my biggest thing, is just having people to be able to get out here and share
Absolutely.
their story.
I love it. I love it.
It's been, and for me, it's been an incredible journey, just listening to people's stories, and it helps me every time I hear them. I'm like, okay, now I feel better when I get off my own podcast, So is there any last words that you'd like to say, anybody, before we wrap it up here?
You have to learn to be you. Everybody, we are so overstimulated today in this world of social media and electronics and technology, everything. We're just overstimulated. Learn to be you. You is okay. Long as you are very respectful, you honor your parents, your children, your spouses, give honor and glory to God for everything that he bestows upon you. And take it one day at a time. You will be okay.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you so much for sharing. I'm sure that we'll talk again, because I always tell people I like 6 months down the road or whatever, just to see where we're at with things.
Absolutely, yes.
And it's just so much fun doing this. And I appreciate you jumping on here with me today.
No problem.
I'm going to go ahead and thank you, everybody, for jumping on Hope today. I know that Vania's story just really had to have touched home with you. No, wait. Vania's story, sorry. She told me how to say it, and then I said it wrong. I was like, wait, stop. I got to say Pennsylvania. Got it, Vania. So yeah,
Mhm.
I appreciate you getting on here with me today. And everybody, I hope you have an amazing day. And if you are that person laying in bed or sitting in your house thinking that you're struggling and you can't get to a strength, you can. I promise you.
Mhm.
You just have to take the first steps.
That's
You know,
right.
I think it's Les Brown says, if you're laying on your back, you can get up, look up to
Mhm.
that sky. We have a
Yes.
big God out there that
Mhm.
he will help you. You just have to be there and willing to get the help. So
Absolutely.
thank you so much again,
Oh,
and
you're
you have an
welcome.
awesome day, okay?
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.